line L is parallel to line K. So if you look at rise over run for line L, we are rising 2 and running 5. The slope is 2/5. If you look at the next line, we are rising 4 and running an unknown amount, p. So the slope is 4 over p. If I cross multiply, I get that 2p is equal to 20, or p is equal to 10, because the slopes have to be equal. If line L has a slope of 2, I can write that as 2 over 1. Since line K is perpendicular, you take the opposite reciprocal, meaning you flip the fraction and you make it negative. Since it contains the point 42, I can use that to figure out the intercept if I wanted to. And I'm going to need to, since the slope here is the same for C and D. So 2 is equal to negative 1/2 times 4 plus b. 4 times the negative 1/2 is negative 2. If I add 2 to both sides, I get that b is equal to 4. To find the slope, we're going to solve for y. So we're going to add 2x to both sides. So we have 3y is equal to 2x plus 6. We'll divide by 3, so y is equal to 2/3 x plus 2. Since my slope is 2/3, to find the perpendicular slope, I'm going to flip it and take the opposite. So this becomes negative 3 over 2. So if I move the x over, it'll become negative, and then I divide by 2, and this is the right equation. Line H has a slope of negative 8. That's the coefficient in front of x. So you could also consider this as negative 8 over 1. To find the perpendicular slope, I flip it and I take the opposite. So we're looking for a slope that is 1/8, and that's the answer. Let's solve line P for y. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides, and I get that 2y is equal to negative 4x plus 9. When I divide by 2, I get negative 2x plus 4.5. So negative 2 over 1 is another way to write negative 2. To make this perpendicular, I flip it and take the opposite. So my slope is 1/2. You could have also solved this graphically by plotting this point 1, 3, and noting the slope was 1/2, so therefore we're crossing here to go up 1/2. Both would have given you the answer 2.5. If we solve this equation for y, we get y is equal to negative x, so my slope is negative 1. So if my slope is negative 1 over 1, I flip it and take the opposite, and my new slope is a positive 1. It has these coordinates, which tells me my b value is 3, so I'm looking at y is equal to x plus 3. If I want to move the x over, I can say y minus x is equal to 3, or I could say negative x plus y is equal to 3, and they just flipped everything by taking the inverse, so x minus y is equal to negative 3. This is line M. If I can find the slope, I'm looking for something that is perpendicular to that, and that's line L. So I'm here at these 2 points, 0, 3, and negative 5, 0. So I'm going up 3 and right 5. My slope is 3/5. To be perpendicular, I flip it and make it opposite, so my slope is negative 5/3. So I'm going to look at my answer choices, solve them for y, and find out which one has an x value, or a slope, of negative 5/3. So subtract 5x from both sides and divide by 3y, or just 3. And there's negative 5 divided by 3. That's a strong contender. If you try to do that to all the others, none will give you that correct coefficient, negative 5/3. We have coordinates 7, 2 for C, 1, 0 for E, and there's a line. We can find the slope. We're going to go up 2, right 6, so the slope is 1/3. I'm going to find the perpendicular slope, and it'll be negative 3/1. So that rules out these two. I'm left with A or B. If I distribute the negative 3, this is like negative 3x plus 3. So if I think about this line that crosses through B and D, something like this, if I plug in a 0 for x, is my intercept going to be negative 1 or 3? It's going to be 3. So B is the right answer. Q and R both perpendicular and intersect at the origin. The origin is 0, 0. Line R passes through this point, so we can figure out the slope. K minus 0 over 1 minus 0 is equal to K. If we want to find the perpendicular slope, we're going to flip it, so it's 1 over K, and make that negative. So we're looking for one that has negative 1 over K in front of X. B. What is the value of A to make these two perpendicular lines? So I'm going to take the top equation and solve it for Y by moving the 5x over. So my slope was negative 5/1. If I want to make that perpendicular, I flip it and take the opposite, so my slope is 1/5. So how could I solve for this? I can add y to both sides, and I have ax is equal to y minus 7, and ax plus 7 is equal to y. So A has to be 1/5. Line L has an intercept of negative 13, and it's perpendicular to the line with this equation. So I'm going to take negative 2/3, I'm going to flip it and make it opposite. So my new slope is 3/2. And I want to know if the point 10b is on this line, what's the value of b? So it turns out the intercept and the slope can be used to build the equation. Y is equal to 3/2 x minus 13. If I plug in a 10, I have y is equal to 3/2 times 10 minus 13. So y is equal to 30/2 minus 13, or 15 minus 13, and the answer is 2.